It's taken me a full year to post this, but it's finally here. After doing a $180,000 tenant improvement, which includes remodel and furnishing, the commercial building that I purchased a year ago is finally ready to go. I'm gonna show you some before and afters, so let's do it. Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. Shawn's the name, and while this remodel was $180K, I actually only spent about $120K, and I'm gonna show you how. Not only was I able to leverage the partnership I have in a office furniture company called Direction Desk to save money on furniture, was also able to leverage a lot of local contacts I had, with contractors and material costs. So it ended up bringing the total overall price down significantly. Now, if you haven't seen the video I posted last year on the entire purchase process of the building, I'd highly recommend you go check it out. I will leave it linked down below for you. And no, it did not take a full year to do this entire remodel. We've just been so busy with different projects and other things that have been going on. So the time frame is a lot quicker than that. If I had to take an estimate, I'd say about 2 to 3 months were hard construction costs, things like knocking down walls, flooring, doing those big things, electrical, plumbing, cabinets, those more construction items. And then probably another 2 months of kind of those afterthoughts like the glass walls or maybe light fixtures, stuff in the warehouse, little things like that. And then, probably a couple months of furnishing. We just did it piece by piece, and actually my office was the last one to actually be done. We pretty much focused on each area, which I'll be walking through and showing you everything. So I think if I were to ultimately do this all immediately, I probably could have gotten it done in about 4 months, 5 months, if this was like the sole project of fully furnished and ready to go. But I have to focus on my other projects, which is mainly running the mortgage company and actually working out of the building. So it's not as easy to kind of do everything when you're also trying to run businesses at the same time. So it took a little bit longer, but I think if someone else were to do this, it probably would take about that 4 to 5 months if you were super dialed in. But yeah, let's go ahead and do a full walkthrough now, and I'll show you each of the different parts of the project. All right, we're gonna start on the outside of the building because one thing that was actually very expensive and I thought made a huge difference on the entire building was we replaced the entire front door, the double doors that we had. And the main reason why I wanted to do it, one, the previous doors were super old and crappy and they wouldn't properly close. But the thing I love the most about this is we put on a fingerprint keypad and also just a key code. So all employees can get in whenever they want. Their code is specific to them. So we know who's accessing the building, who's not. All of the commercial locks that are supposed to go on these doors were all crap in my opinion and very expensive. So we actually went with a residential lock, and you'll see these on a lot of the glass doors upstairs that I'll show. They're like 300 bucks each or something like that, but they're totally worth it. It makes a massive difference of not needing an actual hard key. So let's go on inside. Now when you come into the building, did something that costs a good amount of money, but I think it doesn't make as big a difference as I wanted it to. But we did this back wall super smooth finish. Smooth drywall finish is a lot more expensive than I would have liked, but I thought it made a pretty big impact to have a nice accent wall. I wish this electrical panel wasn't here, or we do something a little bit different with it. But I like the smooth finish, the accent wall that we have. It kind of pieces together, right as someone walks in. And then coming over this way to the conference room, this is actually totally different right here. This used to be a full wall that came out to probably about here, if I remember correctly. We ended up getting rid of the wall, cutting half of this wall down, putting a nice little countertop here. As you can see, it's got all these holiday treats and everything on it. It's nice to kind of keep it all super open. But once we put this in, we had to move this conference room door because the door was right here. And I don't know if you know much about these kind of commercial glass systems, but they're kind of a pain in the butt. They're very expensive. But we ended up saving a good amount of money by just swapping the two frames and getting kind of the door moved over for this whole area to kind of fit a lot better. Then coming into the conference room, this is one of my favorite pieces in the entire office is this nice custom conference room table that we have. This is kind of one of those things I was mentioning at the beginning of the video. This would have been a very expensive conference room table and chairs. I chat with a lot of people about this. This is probably a table that's 10 to 15, sometimes even 20 grand for something like this. We were able to do it through Direction Desk to make it a lot more affordable. And then also have kind of some nice little furniture with the brick in the back. We went smooth finish in this room as well on the drywall. I think it makes a little bit more of a difference in here, just making it look super, super clean. We haven't done too much decorations other than kind of some of this felt work on the walls, which you'll see throughout the office. And we've kept it pretty basic, pretty simple, but I think the conference room gives it a nice little modern look. All right, then coming into kind of the kitchen area, this is totally different actually. if you remember, if you saw that video, or we'll show some before and afters, but this whole wall had all of the kitchen cabinets, the fridge, the water was tied right here, all the plumbing, everything was along this wall, and I hated it because every time someone walked in, you just saw the kitchen, which didn't look great, wasn't great for a customer kind of, walking in. So it's nice that you just see a nice clean wall. This is smooth finish as well because we had to redo everything anyway, so we ended up doing smooth finish on it. Nice little area for people to kind of, eat and whatnot. And then the actual kitchen stuff is all the way in the back. We did all new cabinets, all new countertops, new sink, microwave, fridge, everything, and it's much more hidden. Someone can be here at the sink and you can't even see the front door, which is how we'd like it. You don't want to be walking into an office and all of a sudden you see the employee break room. Like, that's not something that you want to see starting out. So it's cool that everything was kind of moved over. This was very expensive, probably one of the more expensive parts of the project. The plumbing work and everything to get it all moved cost a lot more than we would have liked. I think it was like 15 grand, 20 grand if I remember correctly, just to get everything kind of moved over with cabinets and countertops. So wouldn't have been the most cost-effective move, but I think it makes a big difference on the entire building and just actually customers coming in. All right, moving over kind of this side. Again, we'll do the warehouse kind of later. One thing that's new is we had some cabinets right here. We had some bottoms and some uppers. I didn't like the look of them. They were older, but it really wasn't all that usable because the countertop was too high to put anything big like these. So I wanted to lower it, but still kind of make it useful. So we redid the cabinets to match the kitchen. We got these up here. They're a little bit high. So we wanted to make sure that the step matched the flooring, which I'll talk more about the flooring when we get upstairs, because obviously the flooring is completely redone in the entire office. But the thing that I like about this is we did the flooring so you can kind of step up here and get anything that you need to get at the higher levels. Makes it a lot better than kind of, having to deal with it otherwise. Now, the bathrooms, there's really not a whole lot to show. Pretty much just painted and kind of made it a little bit more modern than how it was before. So not a whole lot done in the bathrooms, which is the opposite, because when you do residential, you want to focus on the bathrooms, but there's not a whole lot to do in here. Coming into kind of the media room, this was a traditional office, and we wanted to make it completely focused on media. So there's tons of wires and everything all over the place, a little behind the scenes of everything, but so much content is online, social media, all that stuff. So we wanted to dedicate some room for everyone to kind of use. We did these felt walls to kind of help with the sound a little bit so it doesn't bounce around too much, and it also just looks sick so you can kind of have some nice backdrops, more professional backdrops when you're filming stuff. We also did some photo paper back here in this atrium, kind of made some use of it. It's a little bit of storage behind the paper, and then you have multiple colors that you can kind of wheel down to do different shoots and different things that you need to do. We also have this awesome, unique table, full podcast setup, but the table is actually on casters. You can move it around, set it up however you want. We've done tons of content in this room, and it makes it nice that everything is, height adjustable, and you can kind of set it up to however you'd like it. If you're doing standing content, sitting content, whatever you kind of need to do. So this room ended up turning out really, really, really good, and let's go check out upstairs. So going up the stairs, as you can tell, we did, the flooring upstairs as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that. We did, luxury-based vinyl, which I'm a huge fan of, super durable. We saved a lot of money on the flooring, not only the material, but the install. And also we did another accent wall right here, smooth finish in the middle. We did have a light in the middle, and because there's a brick wall behind this, we had to put a plate right there, which kind of sucks, but hopefully it blends in a little bit. And then we put 2 light wall sconces or whatever on the sides, which ends up looking pretty good there. And then coming upstairs, the biggest change is probably the upstairs, because there was a massive wall right here. It was a really awkward laid out upstairs. There's a huge wall right here. Kind of had some weird setup. There was also an IT wall all the way over there in that corner, which kind of turned into my office now. Took all that down. We wanted to make it super open. We did the glass walls, which is another huge thing of this entire remodel. These walls are very expensive. If you were to kind of do this from most common or popular companies, they're probably going to be $80,000 to $90,000 for this setup that you're seeing, which is, this kind of half glass office and those kind of half glass offices, because it's using other walls. Very, very, very expensive. We probably paid about $30,000 to $35,000 for it because we were leveraging kind of our showroom for direction us with it, so that saved us tons of money. And it was cool to kind of see those go up. But coming into this room in here, kind of set it up as a more fluid, open workspace. I love the trio desk setup. It's not how many desks can we fit in here. That's not the focus of kind of how we set things up. We wanted it to feel like an open kind of work environment. Absolutely love these monitors. They're very expensive, but they make it worth it because they're all hubs. So you can kind of plug in a laptop here and you're pretty much all set up and ready to go. So these setups are very expensive, but we saved a lot of money obviously doing everything through our products with Direction Desk. So I would say each one of these setups is probably gonna retail, you know, desk, keyboard, monitor, all the cabling, your mouse, everything like that. If I had to take a guess, each one of these probably $3,500, $3,500 to $4,000. Then if you kind of include the partitions here and this power railing that goes across it, I mean, that's another $1,500, $2,000. So this entire setup right here, retailed, would probably be like 10 grand. We got some felt on the back wall right there, which helps a little bit with the sound in here. And yeah, just kind of have it set up for, you know, an open work environment. So ended up looking pretty good. Got some nice whiteboards and blackboards and stuff on the wall for people to use. And then coming into kind of this portion of the open floor plan, again, there's a lot of flooring that was redone. The walls up here are not smooth because this isn't necessarily customer facing, so that saved us a little bit of money there. But we do obviously have everything painted. A lot of the ceiling tiles and stuff were redone too. But this glass is honestly what I'm most stoked about because it just looks really good. And kind of like I was mentioning downstairs, we've got all of these keypads on all of these doors. So whichever person's office this is, they can lock it with their phone if they need to. This doesn't have the fingerprint, but it does have the PIN code. So you can lock it, unlock it whenever you need to in case you had it locked and you weren't at the office and someone needed to grab something in your office. You know, they can unlock it from their phone if they needed to. All of our kind of more executive level desks are going to be a little bit more expensive, but obviously give you a lot more desk real estate and things like that. So again, the furniture setup would have been very, very, very expensive if we did the entire office for retail pricing because it's all brand new, you know, high-tech standing desks, but we saved a lot of money that way doing the entire office. And then, you know, the last thing is really mine in here, which we'll go into the warehouse in a little bit, but this is kind of my office where I do everything. We have the highest level of our desks right here. These are going to be, again, probably the most expensive desks, these executive level desks. This would probably retail just the desk alone for about $4 grand, $4,500. And then of course, you know, you got all the tech and everything that goes with it. So again, there's lots of expenses when it comes to setting up an office that I'm glad I didn't do it all at once. I'm glad we kind of did it piece by piece because you really don't think about a lot of these things. Each workstation is going to cost you, even if you didn't go with some high-tech equipment, each workstation is probably going to be $1,500 on the cheap end. And if you kind of multiply that by all the workstations and employees and everything you have, it can get very, very expensive. All right, then going kind of into the warehouse really quickly because not a whole lot's changed back here. We did replace the stairs, which was nice because there was a half set up stairs in here. And there was actually a hole kind of in the middle of the warehouse. You can see that rectangular kind of setup right there. That was a hole because there was a paint booth in there. So we filled that in. We set up the stairs here. We obviously put in pallet racking for everything to kind of do with storage and whatnot. But that's kind of the main changes we did in the warehouse. There wasn't a whole lot. We have kind of replaced some of the doors and some of the other things to make it a little bit easier to use. But for the most part, I mean, that's kind of the whole setup of the building. Pretty much all of the money was spent inside on the office, and it obviously looks completely different than when it started. So I'm pretty stoked with the way it actually turned out. A lot better than what I was initially planning on. And that's pretty much the building. Unfortunately, I probably didn't get $180K worth of value if the property would be reappraised right now. Commercial buildings are a whole different animal. It's not like residential to where if you remodel and make something nicer, it's necessarily going to be sold for a higher price point. It ultimately comes down to the use of the building and what a new group would come in and use it as. So I probably did get some good value out of it, but nowhere near what was actually spent. But for us, it's a great building to work out of, great building to make content out of. Everything's kind of the way that we had liked it to turn out. So I say it's a big success. And a little bonus, actually, my neighbor behind me is doing a much bigger remodel. Probably if I had to take a super rough guess, I'd say like a 500 to 600K remodel on their building. And they are gonna get it reappraised to pull some cash out in a refinance. So I'm super interested and looking forward to see what that building appraises for. I'm gonna try to get some before and after pics, and that'll be another good video I can put on this channel because he's also a real estate mogul and a really cool guy to kind of pick his brain on. So that'll be a cool video and a good reason for you to hit that subscribe button right now. But that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button. Please share the video with a friend. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.